Hi all, my name is Sarahi and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing a very deep and personal story about how I used to use alcohol as a way to mask my feelings, to numb myself and not feel, and hide parts of me that I used to really dislike. And now that I'm on the other side, I want to share this story for anyone out there who's going through something similar, and also for my younger self, because I know I would have loved to have seen something like this. And it's not easy for me to share this, but I just really want to open myself up and be there for anyone who needs help, because I know this journey of life that we're all going through is not easy. And so I want to start this story by going back to before I even started drinking alcohol. Growing up, I remember feeling a very strong sense of inadequacy, like I didn't belong and just always wanting to fit in. I grew up in a country where I'm not from, so maybe that also amplified it. Just always feeling like I didn't belong and always trying to fit in with everyone. And it just made me very insecure and anxious about who I was. I was not very confident about myself. I used to dislike a lot of things about myself, like how I looked, my personality, how I talked. I had a lot of self-hatred and would be constantly judging myself and self-criticizing everything I did. And so I became like super controlling about how I presented myself to the outside world, how I talked, how I looked. Everything I did, I would criticize myself, and I just basically felt like I was put in a box. I mean, I did this to myself. I put myself in this imprisonment of restricting myself from everything and trying to be someone I was not, because I really disliked many parts of me. And so it just led me to a path of self-hatred and wanting to change every little thing about myself. And this made me like extra anxious when socializing with people and when interacting with others. I used to be very scared of interacting with others because I thought they would judge me and they would see the parts of me that I really disliked about myself. And so I just lived in constant fear and shame of who I was, and just anxious and a lot of judgment. And I just wanted to find a way out, a way to release all of these negative feelings. And also back then, I didn't know how to express myself well. I didn't know how to ask for help. I found it very challenging to open up to others and be vulnerable. And so I just shut down myself and try to find any way to soothe this feeling and free myself, because I just lived in constant fear and hatred. And so as I was growing up, I remember like when I was 14, I think I would see older girls partying and drinking and having so much fun. And I mean, you know how it goes. It looks so fun on social media when people are partying, you know. And I was like, wow, everyone looks like they're having so much fun. Like everyone looks like they're getting along with each other. It looks so fun to me. And so I really wanted to experience this excitement, this joy that I saw other people were experiencing. And I'm like, okay, I want to drink. I want to go partying. I want to do all of that. I wanted to look cool. I just wanted to be happy and be like the people I saw online, and I wanted to do exactly what they did. And so that's what I did. When I was 15, I was the first time I properly drank. and went to a bar. And I just remember drinking, and as soon as all the alcohol came into my system, I just felt so free. I felt like a rush of ecstasy, so happy. I felt so powerful, so confident, and like I could finally be myself. Like I didn't have to constantly be holding myself back and those limiting beliefs that I had of myself and the restrictions that I had imposed on myself. I just felt like I could finally be myself, be free. Like I could finally experience that happiness that I was looking for. And I was like, wow, this is the answer to my problem. I finally like found a way to feel good about myself, to be myself, to like socialize with people without being anxious. So the first time I drank alcohol was also the first time I blacked out. And back then I was like, it's okay, like it's the first time, I'm never gonna black out. I'm not gonna black out again. I'll control my alcohol more. But little did I know that was just the beginning of a cycle that I created where I would seek any excuse to go partying and drinking, drink to the point of blacking out, not remembering a single thing, and then hating myself for blacking out and for not controlling my alcohol. I got addicted to the feeling of being free, the feeling that alcohol gave me of feeling powerful, feeling like I could finally be myself. But at the same time, then every time I would drink, I would feel horrible the next day, especially because a lot of these times I would black out. And I just didn't understand why I couldn't control my alcohol like my friends did. I just felt like as soon as I had a little bit of alcohol in my system, like it overpowered me, and I couldn't control myself. I couldn't control how much I was drinking. I would just want to drink as much as I could without stopping because I didn't want that feeling to go away. And whenever I remember I would sober up a little, I would want to drink even more because I didn't want the feeling to go away. And it just became a vicious cycle of wanting to feel this feeling over and over again, even though I knew I was probably gonna black out. Because in the moment, I wasn't even thinking about that actually. Like, I was just thinking about how good it felt and how I didn't want it to stop. And the next day, every time I would black out, I would just absolutely hate myself. And get so much anxiety because one, I had no idea what I did the night before, and two, because I was betraying myself. I was disconnecting. I was literally going unconscious, forgetting everything, wiping out everything because I was scared of myself, because I couldn't face myself. And so I had to use alcohol to not remember, to hide that part of me that I didn't like. I used alcohol to suppress myself and suppress who I truly was, because I didn't like who I was. And so I had to use alcohol to suppress that and to neglect that part of me that I didn't want to see. And I just felt like I kept betraying myself every time I blacked out. But at the same time, I didn't know how to stop. And it just became a cycle that literally, like, almost every month I would have a breakdown trying to talk myself out of drinking again and telling myself that I will never do this again, I will never drink again. But then the next week or the next few weeks, I would just be back to that cycle again. And I would try controlling how much I drank, but it just didn't work. And I just And then I started to see how I was not only hurting myself, but I was hurting people around me, especially those who loved me. I was hurting them because they were seeing how I was slowly destroying myself, how I was harming myself. And also it was not fun because they had to take care of me a lot of the times. Honestly, like, this whole cycle, or this whole drinking partying thing, started as a really fun activity to do over the weekends, and then it just became this deep hole that I kept digging myself into. And the more I did it, the deeper the hole was, and the harder it was for me to get out. And I was slowly losing myself. I was slowly losing who I was. I was becoming someone I didn't even recognize anymore. I was hurting people because when I was on alcohol, when I was drunk, I would become this person that I didn't even recognize, that I was so ashamed of and so disgusted by, and I just didn't understand how I could turn into that person when I was drunk, when I was unconscious, when I was blacked out. I would just become someone I did not know who I was. And then I just felt so ashamed and so anxious every time I would drink, because I didn't want other people to think that that was who I was. And it took me a while to realize that alcohol was never going to be the answer to all the negativity and all the self-hatred I had for myself. It took a lot of pain and suffering, internal pain and suffering. And it took a lot of me hurting others to realize that I didn't want alcohol to control my life and to control how I felt. And I decided that, okay, like, I need to stop. This has gone too far. I reached rock bottom. I was putting myself in situations that were dangerous, that were harmful to me, to myself. And so this was around 2 years ago that I decided, okay, I need to make a decision here, where I decided that I'm gonna try my very best to change. And it was definitely not easy, because as soon as I stopped partying and drinking, I was confronted by that part of me that I have been suppressing and neglecting for years. That part of me that I didn't want to see, that I did not accept, that I used to hate, that I thought was not worthy of. And it was really hard to face that, to realize that I did not love myself, to realize that I did not accept myself. And I was using alcohol to suppress that. You know, these 2 past years have been really hard facing this side of me, and I've had relapses throughout. I've also tried using other things like food and other external stuff to suppress that, and to distract myself from what I was actually feeling. But slowly I'm realizing that I nothing external will ever fill that void, and that I just need to be true to myself and be there for myself and be accepting of who I am and loving every part of me, even when I truly used to dislike it. I am learning to embrace who I am and to be authentic with who I am and no longer pretend to be someone I'm not. And it's been hard, but it's honestly worth everything I went through, because now that I'm on the other side, and I'm still in the process, but now that I can finally say honestly that I love myself and I accept every part of myself, it feels so good, so much better than alcohol. You know, everything that alcohol used to give me, I can now give it to myself. I can now care for myself and give that love to myself that I for so long wanted and was looking for. And you know, I'm still like learning how to feel all these emotions, but it just gets easier and easier to continue this journey of self-growth and self-discovery and self-love. And it just feels so freeing, and I've never been this happy. And so even though it was a very painful and challenging process that I went through, I definitely do not regret it, and I am actually thankful for alcohol, because it made me realize all the things that I was neglecting about myself and not embracing. And now I am committed to embracing all of that and giving it so much love. And so I know this type of journey and process that a lot of us are going through is not easy, but it's worth it. And you will get to the other side. Just trust yourself. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye. Love you all.